2-1. Gets one in the air to deep left field. Back toward the corner goes Thomas. Right back near the wall. It's out of here! Grand slam, Pete Alonso!
All right, everyone, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Mets sports talk and entertainment. Who let the dogs out? Evidently, it's Max Scherzer. Need to talk about yesterday's big 5-4 win in 10 innings. Want to talk about how we split with the LA Dodgers. And I want to talk about the dichotomy of the Mets' strengths and weaknesses this season. But let's first talk about Max. Oh, Mad Max. Evidently, his dog bit him on his pitching hand. And he came out on Twitter and said, just clearing a few things up. My dog hurt her leg on a run. She was howling in pain. I went to calm her down by putting my hands on her. When I did that, she bit my right hand. Fortunately, it wasn't a bad bite. I took a day off from throwing and was able to toss the lawn ball the next day. This will have no effect on my rehab, and this is literally a non-story. Anytime you get mad money from Steve Cohn to come here and be ace number 1B, and you've been out since May 18th with an oblique strain, it's going to be a story. And I like how the fact that he does try to just say it's a non-story, but if it's not affecting his rehab, it doesn't matter. You wish him and the dog well, but it's just another day for bizarre injuries after Francisco Lindor got his hand caught in the hotel door and fractured the tip of his middle finger. It's just one of those things that happens during the long season. Of course, yesterday, we took a 5-4 win over the Dodgers in 10. J.D. Drew, the big hero, with the big RBI coming up in the 10th inning. I've been waiting for J.D. to do something. I've been waiting for him to show his wares again, because you knew he was going to sooner or later. You knew he was gonna kind of swing that. He was gonna swing that lumber around a little bit. Now hitting a big 247. But you know what? We split with the Dodgers, and right now, this team, the Mets team, that is, of course, they are going to have a interesting stretch because of the fact that they need to not only focus on, the play on the field, they got to focus on everything off the field, but they have some strengths and weaknesses that are going to be, I think it became really apparent this series. The pitching itself is going to be interesting because of the fact that until you can remind them that you have the DeGrom and the Scherzer coming back, you're going to have to hold down the fort with the guys that you got. And at this point in time, if we can keep it around 500 until the reinforcements arrive, I'm extremely happy about that. I'll be fine with that. You're going to have some days that are going to be maddening in reference to the pitching. You're going to have some days where people are going to look lights out. But we also have to remember that this offense, the way it's constructed, like any other offense, it's gonna have its ups and downs. It's gonna have its periods of times. It's gonna run into quality pitching staffs, and you're gonna have what happened in the first two games of the series. They're gonna score one run, and of course the Dodgers only scored 8, but they did score 6 in that second game. But even the juggernaut offenses of the Yankees, even back into the 70s, they ran into times where they weren't firing on all cylinders. The good news is the Mets do not rely solely on the home run. They don't need to. They do need, though. They do need, which is the problem. They do need to have players with multiple hits consistently to score, which is a great idea, which is great because I hate relying on the home run. I hate relying on the big ball. I hate relying on the big fly. How many other analogies can I come up with? I hate relying on that. But the problem is when your offense is going to be built more on consistent hitting from a number of players, you are going to run into a problem. You're going to run into a spark where you're going to have to understand that your offense is going to turn around a little bit and sputter. But hopefully it's not for an extended period of time. Hopefully it'll only be for a couple of games, and then hopefully they get right back on track again, because the offense is what's going to push this team into the playoffs, to keep this team in the divisional lead. It's going to happen. So I think we just need to focus on that. And like I said, you're going to get late game heroics, from people like J.D. Drew. It's going to happen. And like I said, with just coming up with that split, against the Dodgers. That made me happy because you know what? When we were losing yesterday, I was a little bit concerned, but then we turned around and, like I said, we righted the ship for these last 2 games after coming off that win streak. So we have to see what just happens again. Somebody asked me yesterday, what is the trade value for Dominic Smith? And would you trade him? Because, of course, he was optioned. He was optioned down to AAA. I don't know. He's a guy last year who probably at his highest value early in the season. He is a guy that has struggled this year. Is he a guy that you could package with another player to maybe come up and get a reliever? I would like to see us get another quality arm in the bullpen. Is he a guy that you could trade for maybe some lower minor league talent? I don't know. I would, if it's me, after his demotion, I'd build him back up. Let him get some hits under his belt. Let him bring him back up again. Give him like 10 games and see that he can get himself on track. It's a little bit of a risk, but if he can get himself on track back in the minors and come back for like 10 or so games, then you built up his value a little bit so people can see. I was never a big Dominic Smith fan, even when they drafted him. I never saw that power potential at first base. They always say, the old baseball analogy, your big boppers are usually on the corners. You usually have your big boppers on first, on third, and you would like to have them in the outfield corners, especially in left, because left is where you get to hide people with defensive deficiencies. So he never fit that mold in my mind. But he proved me wrong for a good 2.5 years. He really did. Proved me wrong. I still think he is a quality major league player. I think he has the ability. And honestly, the Mets really don't have a use for him right now. If you think of it that way. He plays first base and he hits left-handed. And there's too many better options on the team than Dominic Smith at this point in time. So you have to just kind of wait and see what happens. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be, like I said, this is the summer of the Mets, and I'm curious to see what they can do in this next series. Actually, they go on to the Padres. Why do I think they were playing the Angels? They got a 3-game series in the Padres today at 9:40. I keep thinking the Angels. Why do I keep thinking the Angels? You want to know why? Because it's one of those days. It's one of those long days. But like I said, the Mets should be fine. Thank you, JD Drew. Matt Scherzer's got to stay away from dogs. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Mets sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could maybe subscribe. If you can ring that bell, you know what it means. That'd be awesome.